Right.
I'll introduce you. Papa, please, I will introduce you.
Good. Thank you very much.
I will introduce you formally. People, we are live on YouTube here. This is the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, North America, Australia Presbytery. We are fortunate to have able leaders in the Presbytery who are so proactive and thinking of sustainable development for developing coming ones who also help in the work. At this time, Papa is here to be with us. And so we are fortunate. And the students also here. And so today we want to look at the New Testament. And to handle this New Testament, our own New Testament scholar. The person I know because when I was in the Trinity Seminary, he came there to do his MPH. Master of Theology. And so I know him very well. In terms of ministry, he has vast experience. He's been the clerk of whole Presbytery before. And sure other places that I can't even mention, but as he goes around, as he goes about, he will tell you a bit of his ministry as senior minister in our midst. And we love him so much that God is going to use him to bless us. At this time, without wasting much time, let me introduce to you Reverend R.O. Asenso. Papa Asenso, these are your children. Most of them, about 90% of them are caretakers already, now wanting the knowledge to do the ministry. We have on the screen, you can see Papa Domfe in Perth, Papa Verima, Melbourne 4th Congregation. You can see the name is Abaya, but she's Hannah from Darwin. Darwin is a Northern Territory of Australia. We have Andy. Andy is in Melbourne, 5th Congregation. Then we have Asari. Asari is in Wentreville, 1st Congregation. Then we have David. David is in 5th Congregation, Adelaide. Then we have Devlin. Devlin is assistant caretaker of the 1st Congregation. Again, you have Nana. Nana is here. Nana, as you know, from Ohio, Illinois. And then there's this LG. I'm not too sure who is using it. That's why I try to sometimes get the names there. I don't know who is using. Identify yourself. I'm sure my line I seem to have a little bit of a challenge with network. I hope my line is okay now. Is my line okay now? Yes, thank you so much. So, Papa, please have your exactly 8 o'clock, please. Thank you.
Right. Beloved, you are welcome to today's program. And before we begin, what I always do is that I call one of the students to pray. One of you will pray. Then at the end of the lesson, another person will pray. That is what I normally do, especially with my counseling. Those people who are about to marry and I counsel them, I tell them that within the period that I'm doing the counseling, I want them to cultivate the habit of praying together. So one prays for us to begin, then the other prays at the end. So that is what I want to do with you. I know you are praying every time, but I want to adopt that same system here. So maybe one of you will pray, and then at the end of it, or another person will pray. Then we begin. Shall we have somebody praying?
Shall we bow down heads and say a word of prayer? Father Almighty,
And your microphone, please. Andy, we can hear your prayer, please.
Shall we pray? Can you hear me?
Yes, Nana, pray.
Okay, Father, we thank you for your presence in our midst.
Shall we say a word of prayer?
Okay.
Andy, come on.
Father, we thank you so much for yet another opportunity. We are committing today's section in your hands. It's our prayer that you take absolute control of every program in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Beloved, this is New Testament, and we're going to introduce, for this particular segment, for this particular semester, we have an introduction to the New Testament. So the New Testament is a vast book and contains so many other books, compilation of so many books, and therefore we need to introduce it before maybe we get into seeing other things in it. So that is for this semester, from beginning yesterday till June. I sent a course outline yesterday to the coordinator. I believe he will let you have it. But for the purpose of those for us who haven't had it, please, this is the course outline for the 5 weeks that we're going to have. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then the 5th week will be for examination. Now, for the first week, today, that's today, we're going to look at intertestamental period. Intertestamental period. And then the second week, we'll look at brief on the books of the New Testament, a brief on the books of the New Testament. Third, we're going to look at the historical Jesus and Jesus the Christ. And then the fourth, we're going to look at the political narrations of the New Testament. So that is going to be the course outline. And then the 5th week, you write your exam. Now, as students, we are expecting you to be doing these things. You have 2 presentations in class. When I say presentation, means you go, I'll give you something to go home and prepare on, and then you come with that presentation. And at random, I can pick just about 4, at least 4 from you, four from amongst you to do the presentation. So anybody could be chosen. Just as I see Asare, I can just ask Asare to do it. Anybody at all that I think I feel like calling. So if you don't prepare and you call you'll be handicapped. So you do that presentation in class. So two presentation in class. And as the presentation is going on, your participation, after the presentation, you want all of us to discuss, to critique that particular presentation. So as we're critiquing it, those of us who contribute, then we'll be scoring some marks. Because if you prepare, you'll be able to contribute to the presentation that somebody has made. So if you don't prepare, you will not be able to do that. So we will be doing that. And then after that, you will also be given 1 written paper. Now that paper will be given to you today. I'll give you 1 written paper, I'll give you a paper. And that paper you will need to submit at the end of the course. So you go home and you prepare research about that, and then you prepare something on that paper. And then you come and present to me at the end of the course. At the end of the course. And the last one will be the end of course examination that you'll be writing. For the end of course examination, it's not going to be anything. It's going to be something that you discuss. So I don't think it's going to take you something, it's going to be something serious for you. Then, let me also give you how I'm going to do the scoring and that kind of thing. The scoring is going to take this form. The presentation and the participation will take 20%. The presentation and your participation. So those that are presenting and others that are contributing all will sum to 20%. Then the assignment that I'll ask you to take home, that will form 30%. The end of course examination will take 40%. And then your participation and attendance will also take 10%. And the total will be 100%. So you have some 10% and some 20% sitting somewhere on your attendance in your participation. So it means that I have put emphasis, premium, very much premium on your attendance and your participation, and I would like that. And that takes 30%. The rest will be the assignments and then the end of term or end of semester course examination that you take. So for us, let me give you this. Please write this as your take-home assignment that will be presented at the end of the course. For that, you are not going to present that to me, so it will be taken at the end of the course. Now, the assignment is either one, what do the following terms mean in the New Testament? Either one, what do the following terms mean in the New Testament? And here are they. Pharisees, Sadducees, Zealots. And I believe you know how Zealots is spelled. Z-E-A-L-O-T-S, Z-E-A-L-O-T-S, Zealots. And then Sanhedrin. What do they mean in the New Testament? So that is first one, either that or two. Now for the first one, please, the question is write short notes on them. Not what they mean, but write short notes on them. So change the I. What do the following mean in the New Testament? It's that is for the second question. Write short notes on what I've given you on the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Zealots, and the Sanhedrin. Then two, or either or, that is two. What do the following terms mean in the New Testament? These are the terms that I want you to tell me what they mean. First one is sanctification. The second one is the kingdom of God. The third one is resurrection. The last one is Hellenist. So you choose one of them, and then you work around it, and then present at the end of the course. And the paper should be double-spaced. The font should be New Times Roman, and it should be a 12 font size of not more than 6 pages. Double-spaced New Times Roman, 12 font size of not more than 6 pages. So that's about it. Any question before we move on? Any question? Right, I believe it's clear. So just go and work around that, and then you see that it's not difficult. It's not difficult. Either this or that. It's not difficult. So for today, we're going to discuss the intertestamental period. Before I begin with today's lecture, I want to ask from you, what is your expectation at all? What is your expectation at all in this whole course, the catechist training, and of course in the New Testament? What are you expecting? Because you must have an objective in whatever you're doing. And then at the end of it all, you evaluate to see how you fared with regards to the objective that you set for yourself. So what are you expecting in this? What's your expectation in this course, and then again in the New Testament studies? Anybody? Yes. The participation has begun, so the marking has begun.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Papa. This is Emmanuel here from Melbourne.
Right.
But my expectation regarding this course is to equip myself for a better efficiency. just to enlighten myself, to get more knowledge, to be able to do more than I am doing at the moment. And regarding the New Testament, it is the dispensation of Christ and dispensation of Holy Spirit. So I want to be Holy Ghost filled and know more of Christ, know Jesus Christ the more after this course. Thank you.
Right. So write it down. That is your expectation.
That's right.
At the end of it all, you evaluate yourself.
Okay.
Right. Any other person?
Thank you.
Any other person?
Papa, sorry.
My name is Benjamin Kwachi.
Yeah, Ben.
I have set a target that at the end of every section, I have to take something new from the section which I have not known before. And yesterday, I think I've had a lot of new things that I had not known before, and I'm expecting that today and the rest of the period.
Right. Thank you very much. Any other? Well,
Yeah,
let's have about two. Yes.
Sorry. My expectation is to build myself up for the work of God, to be able to deliver.
Oh, if you have something more, just let us know. Yes. Yeah. Let's have the last one.
Yeah. Papa.
Stephen
Asante Donfa here from Perth, Western Australia. Papa, I want to know more about Revelation, the book of Revelation. I have read it. I have heard a lot about it, but just in general, a bit of a breakdown, more of the history, and then what is also to come in terms of Revelation.
Right. So your expectation in the New Testament is on the book of Revelation.
Well, and what?
Yes.
What is happening? Yeah.
It means that if you are not able to reach there, then your goal that has been set hasn't been met. We haven't helped you. Right.
Papa, I didn't get that.
Right. No. What you're saying is that your expectation in the New Testament is to get more insight into the book of Revelations.
Correct.
If you do not get there, then we haven't helped you in your New Testament study. That's what I'm saying.
True.
Remember this introduction to the New Testament. We just introduced the New Testament to you. So that's for the first one. Maybe in the subsequent semesters where we tackle New Testament properly, maybe we will get there.
Okay.
Right. I think it's enough. Now, I was wanting to hear somebody say, I think it's just one person who said he wants to be equipped to do the work as a catechist more. I think it's just one person. The fundamental reason why we're training you is to arm you to do God's work as catechist. Take it from me that we are not training you to be Christians. You are already Christians. We are not training you to develop your faith. You already have your faith. But we are training you into ministry in your faith so that you'll be able to exercise your faith and you'll be able to do your ministerial work properly. So already the foundation is laid that you are already a Christian. But then you're going to be challenged, just as Kwashi said, you're going to be challenged. We're going to shake you with so many things. And then you, at the end of it, you say, so Sunday says, say how do we say it here? Say it how do we here? And no, it be shake you. And no, dear, remember. We say many a time we in our closets we think we are champions, but when we have such interactions and such studies, such trainings, then what we are challenged somehow with regards to what we know and what we don't know. So I believe by the end of the whole semester or the whole course as catechist training, you get to know more. Thank you very much. So for this one, that is the intertestamental period that we're going to discuss. We're going to look at what that period is, people that reigned over that during that particular period, and then what happened to the people of God, the Jews, and with regard with the end of their expectations, and really what came out within that particular period as they were waiting for the Lord. So this is the period that links the Old Testament and the New Testament, intertestamental period, a period linking the Old Testament and what? The New Testament. Of course, a period linking the Old Testament up to the birth of Jesus Christ, or up to the time that John the Baptist was born. So that is the period, intertestamental period. You know, it spans a period of 400 years. 400 years. So it means that those people who were in the who were existing during the Old Testament times, some of them would come and live for 100 years. Some would live for 100 and something years and wouldn't hear or wouldn't see Jesus Christ. It was a period, a 400 span of year period. And it is normally referred to as the silent years. Silent years. Now, who can tell me why you think the period was called silent years? A span of 400 years and a time that they were waiting on the birth of the Messiah. Why do you think that period is described as the silent years? Silent years, yes. Silent years.
But
Anybody?
to my knowledge, maybe the gospel wasn't spread as after Christ was after Christ. Yeah.
Right. Yes, the gospel wasn't spread. Yesterday we began with Old Testament. And Old Testament was the time that Christ had not been born. People who were living at that particular time and then living according to the statutes of God, the instructions of the prophets, and somehow face-to-face interaction with God. That is how it began. The New Testament began. So during the New Testament times, Jesus Christ had not been born. The Old Testament times, Jesus Christ had not been born. Anytime we talk of the New Testament, just as somebody said in his objective, the New Testament is about Jesus Christ and the work of Christ and the work of the prophets, the work of the apostles. That's about the New Testament. So during that period, before Christ came in, there was a break. There was a particular break. And that period was called silent years. Thank you for what you've given us, that at that particular time, the Gospels were not there. Any other contribution from someone else?
I think between that period, God has stopped speaking to the Israelites through the prophets until one day they were there and somebody was shouting in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. I think probably that is what broke the silence. Amen.
Right. So the period is also referred to as silent. So some of these contributions that you seem good, you need to be writing them down. It was really a period that the direction of God wasn't felt at that particular time. Prophets were not there. So it was not recorded in the canon of scriptures, and the voice of the prophets was not heard. So at that particular time, something was going on that we called pseudepigrapha. It was a pseudepigraphal period. I will explain that to you later on. A pseudepigraphal period. That's a period of false writings. A period of false writings. False writings because people thought I could write it down anything. So false writings were going on. So just as the two of you talked, that period was a period that the direction of God wasn't so much felt. They felt that God wasn't there. God was in existence by that time, but then that interaction of the prophets, whom God spoke to, wasn't there, because it had who was the last prophet? Who can tell me the last prophet in the Old Testament? The last prophet.
Malachi.
Malachi was the last prophet. And thank you. So Malachi. So that means the intertestamental period starts from the end of Malachi's prophecy, or the period of Malachi, to the time that John the Baptist was born. So that 400 years period, right? Now this period was characterized by hostilities from the Gentiles against the Jews. Some of the things that were going on, because the Jews went into exile sometime. That is for New Testament. You have the exilic and the pre-exilic and the post-exilic period. All these things you get to know from your New Testament, from your Old Testament facilitator. But I'm saying that the Jews were down under the Gentiles. And these are one of the terms that I want you to be looking at. When we say Gentile in the New Testament, what do we mean? Who is a Gentile? Even though it's not an assignment, when such things are mentioned, I think it will be better for you to go and then research about them and then get to know more about that, because somebody can ask you in your class one day, who is a Gentile? And you need to be able to explain it to that particular person. So that period was characterized by hostilities from the Gentiles against the Jews. So because Jews themselves experienced a time of spiritual darkness, without the presence of the Lord to give them direction. So the prophets were not there to give them direction, and they also, so we saw that period as what? A period of darkness. I don't know if you did history, world history. We had the Dark Ages. We've learned something about the Dark Ages. So we also have a period that is characterized by the Jews as what? Dark years, dark period, darkness, spiritual darkness, because they lacked direction from the prophets at that particular time. They have been captured in the way under the Gentiles. So after the return from exile, their condition did not get any better. Their condition did not get any better. Under the rule of the Gentiles became a yoke on their necks. The rule of the Gentiles became what? A yoke. Why say? I couldn't be a down so. So, but it was there. So they were ruled by so many kind of people. How many people? About six reigns within that period. 6 reigns within that period. The first one was the Persians. And then Alexander the Great came in. The Persians ruled them from 539 to 531 BC. 539 to 531 BC. A period of about, say, 8 years. Then Alexander the Great came in from 539 to 331. It's not 539 to 531. 539 to 331. So it's a span of years. So Alexander the Great was 331 to 323 BC. You have the Ptolemy of Egypt. The Ptolemy of Egypt, PTO. Ptolemy is PTOLEMY. He was a ruler. Ptolemy of Egypt. He ruled from 323 to 198 BC. Then you have the Seleucids of Syria. The Seleucids of Syria, they also ruled them from 198 to 166 BC. Then the Maccabean period was from 166 to 63 BC. 166 to 63 BC. Then they came under the Romans. For the Romans, I know you are aware, or you're conversant with it, and you are you've been working. Even if you've been read, we have a book in the Bible dedicated to the Christians in Rome, and it was from 63 BC to AD 135. AD 135. Now this BC, AD, BC, AD, BC, AD. What are they? What is BC? What is AD? Yes, what is BC and what is AD?
Before Christ.
Before Christ.
Before Christ, right? And what is AD?
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini. And what does that mean?
After Christ.
After the death.
After the death, yes.
Right. So that's the period. That's the time that these people were being what under the Gentiles. Under the Gentiles. If that's as we progress, if you have a question, you can ask. So that during that period too, these are the things that went on. They began to translate the scriptures into what we call the Septuagint. Have you ever heard about the Septuagint? Lufe, can you tell us what you know about the Septuagint? What is the Septuagint?
I have heard about it, but no, I can't. I can't.
Yes, anyone? Sorry. Septuagint, a very big word. Septuagint. It comes from the word septine, 77. Septuagint. Right. That is, the Septuagint is just a collection of material by 70 people. A collection of material by 70 people. When they were in exile, when the Jews were in exile, they wanted to read the scriptures in the new language. See, they were Gentiles, and therefore they were in captivity. So just as we are in America here, if you come to when you go to America, you say some of us have copied the culture and then even the language of Americans. They say you can't 20, they say 20. You can't be here. Would you create omoding? Put it there. That kind of thing, because we've copied, we have adopted the language of Americans. So at that particular time, the language that they spoke were the Aramaic. You know, the Jews were Hebrews. They spoke Hebrew, but they had, because they were in captivity. The language at that particular time was what? The Aramaic. So they wanted to read the scriptures, the Hebrew Bible, in their own language, in the new language. And therefore, they commissioned some people to translate those things for them. Right. So those people who were asked to translate were 70. Those who were asked to do the translation were 70. And then they were separated. They were at various parts of the empire. They didn't come together as we have now. They were separated. So each one was doing an independent kind of work. So at the end of it all, when they brought their work, the work looked similar. There were no differences. Even if there were different, there were errors, if there were mistakes, it was so slight. So maybe the commission is doing first, stay in Arizona and do your work there. Then they will commission Kwashi, stay in Ohio and do your work there. Do independent translation for us. Now, at the end of the period, they brought their work together. Having realized that they did all the same thing without consulting any other person, and that work that they did was what we call the Septuagint. The Septuagint, something that has been done by people. Of course, they were 70. 70. They did that, and then their work were the same. So that anytime we mention the Septuagint, that's the translation of the Hebrew Bible by 70 people who were commissioned, who did independent work. But then the work was what? The work were the same. So that is about the Septuagint. So during that particular time, the Septuagint was done. Translation of scriptures, that Hebrew Bible, into a new language for them to read. You know, there were scholars. They were scholars. There were scholars there. There were scribes. There were prophets. There were other people who had lived. So they made people, they commissioned people to read it to do the translation for them into the new language, and then within that particular time too, they used that particular people to establish synagogue meeting places where they could meet to pray and do other things. And then there was also the production of 14 books of the Apocrypha. The 14 books of the Apocrypha, and I also mentioned the pseudepigrapha period, the false writings. So during those periods, people were writing so many things because there was no direction from prophets who would receive message from God, and therefore they had to write. And many people were writing anything that they felt they could write, even though people had been commissioned to do that independent work with the translation of the Hebrew Bible. So just as I mentioned, hostilities abound. They had a period called dark period, and their condition didn't get any better. And within the period of 400 years, they were under 4 or about 6 or so reigns. The Persians, Alexander the Great, Ptolemy of Egypt, Seleucids of Syria, the Maccabean period, and then the Romans. Now we'll talk a little about the Maccabean period, or what brought about that. So their hope of being liberated from the hands of Gentiles was not forthcoming. They felt that why are we waited for such a long time? We've waited and waited and waited. We know the Messiah will come, but the Messiah is not coming. Our liberation is delaying. We are still under these people. We are still under captivity. We are still under these reigns. These chiefs, these kings are ruling us, and they are suppressing us. We wish we are liberated. So when is this liberation coming? So that was the period that they called silent years, the period that they felt were in darkness, and the period that they felt things were not getting better for them. We've already mentioned this, that. So what really caused them to maybe pray hard, seriously, for the coming of the liberator was what somebody during the reign of the Seleucids called Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes, he desacralized their temples and then went and slaughtered a pig on the altar of the Lord. We from mama mufo and the buy mama ye kwama ye nso mama ye kwama ye nso mo higher dream ye were temples ye sisi ye. But during the period of the Seleucids, King Seleucid, he was a king. Then during that particular period, the buy and say obi e wo mo friend say Antiochus Epiphanes. When he desacralized, he went to the temple and slaughtered a pig on the altar. And this was a horrifying thing that they did. And it angered the Jews. It angered the Jews, and they revolted. and replaced them with their own people. And that amongst them was what somebody we call the Maccabees. So Maccabees reign, during the Maccabees reign, it was the Jews, somebody from the Jews, was known as Maccabee. He reigned after the revolution, when they revolted against the Seleucids' reign. They replaced that particular reign with the Maccabean reign. So that is why we have the Persians' reign, Alexander the Great's reign, the Ptolemy of Egypt, the Seleucids, then the Maccabean period. And that is from 166 BC to 63 BC. 166 BC to 63 BC. Then they came under the Romans. So the Maccabean period came in as a result of what? The rebellion of the Jews against the Gentiles. Why? Because they had desacralized the temple, and somebody from them, Antiochus Epiphanes, had gone to the temple to slaughter a pig. And this horrifying event angered them, and they rebelled. So that is what brought in the Maccabean reign. Again, let me ask this question. Let me pause and ask this question. In the Bible, when we say the Gentiles, what do we mean? What do you mean? The Gentiles. You can't Gentiles. What do we mean? I'm beginning to call people. George. Kumi? Gentiles.
That will be the non-Jews.
I'll call George Kumi. Especially at my face. George, make an attempt. Make an attempt.
Those who are not Jews.
Those who are not Jews.
Yes.
Isaiah. The Wakana also back in Yahi. Yes, Gentiles. Isaiah. Zakusaki. Betu Ngapa.
Okay. I mean, the Gentiles, you say, they are people the Jewish classified as sinners, or they don't belong to their group. Yeah, that is how I see.
Right.
Because
thank you very much.
So unclean people. Yeah.
And remember kasa. And we are prepared. We are prepared. Good. So that's about the Gentiles. Also, we can say na ipia. Let's say in your close at the ministry there, you build your own ministry. What I say, you build your own ministry, and that you are preparing to leadership position. Into a name of which any people may be so once about no. But when now so here, Sadia no, give us what to me. Aye, and even pure my church in me. Some of them we got them out of seminary, others we learned when we were in seminary. 20 a better say terms of these terms BTC no institution. We are made the assignment by mama I'm by presentation. Prepare. Okay. So that's about the Gentiles. That's about the Gentiles. They saw them as unclean and unholy. The Jews saw the Gentiles as unclean and unholy, as uncircumcised. Anytime we talk about the Gentiles, the word that comes in as uncircumcision. Uncircumcision. On the Old Testament period, no, we don't go on Israel for a palm. That any male that is born must be circumcised. And that they thought was a cleansing for them. And we saw these Gentiles as uncircumcised. So if you are uncircumcised, they are unholy. And they are unclean. And this made the Jews practice an exclusivist behavior towards them. Exclusivist behavior. What is that? Exclusivist behavior. Berma. Exclusivist behavior.
It means the Jews were actually looking down upon them because they felt that they are not within their range, so they look down upon them.
Right. Exclusivist. Yes. Any other person? Exclusivist behavior.
They did not include them in anything they do.
Right. So they don't sure who free one. Enti who one na I say near stigma. Eh? Who know? They say I say nipa no bibi won ho. When HIV, so I will go near him. Oko Ghana will be a year at the saying come out of the hospital of COVID-19. Near you walk on no a positive, no but no a negative one. Because say tag no say when you have COVID-19 and then Ghana, that stigma is there. So that kind of behavior was what the Jews behaved or practiced towards the Gentiles. So the Jews practiced what? Exclusive behavior towards the Gentiles. They always wanted to be distant. They didn't want to be close to them at all. They didn't want to be close at all. Whenever they were forced to do something, they were under their rule. Now, so no, but in my day-to-day interaction, as I come to them, I interact with the Gentiles. In their day-to-day interaction with the Gentiles, nearby, they say, anytime they interacted with the Gentiles, what happened is that they will go back home and wash themselves and their clothes before even they pray. They will go back home, clean themselves well, their clothes and everything. Or didn't so gentle dear. Or then to be a Kabuma idea no quandia or the fee akan. Into Kofia and so nobody depo and now so pay impono. He will have to wash himself and his clothes very well before such thing is done. But this made them find life unbearable. Because they sought to adhere strictly to the law of God. And if you don't conform to the Gentile rule, if you don't conform to what these people are telling you to do, and you want to remain strictly to the law of God from the period of the prophets, then you're going to have life to be unbearable for you. Like Ghanaians, if you're in America and you want to do things as Ghanaians do, you find life unbearable. Ghana, life is saying, what your family and your juma, driver cry, one chamber, traffic light in no trim, Ghana or Timoto Sua. Ghana for us, I say, motorcycles, no, only traffic regulations, no, and Coma won't be. Traffic light is so red, the crowd will be a Timoto to crowd. Come and do that in America here. If you come to America, you do that, life will be unbearable for you. So just that kind of life was what the Jews were facing. That was the kind of life that they were facing. So as a result of the crisis, the Jews' quest for the direction and messages of hope, many forms of literature emerged. One thing that is so remarkable about the Jews was that they wanted to read. They wanted to read. So they began to write books. I've already mentioned the Septuagint. I've already mentioned the pseudepigraphal period. I've already mentioned the Apocrypha. All these things were they did very, very, very well. they did very, very, very well. They didn't just say that we are in exile. We are under a particular rule. We are under oppression. We are finding life unbearable, and therefore we are not writing down anything. We are not educating ourselves. They were writing. So one of the things that came up were writers. They began to write. Geographical books. I found the books called what? The Apocrypha. One of the books called Apocrypha. Are you getting me? It looks like my internet is having a problem.
Yeah, you went off just a little bit.
Right. Am I back?
Yeah,
are you getting me now?
Yeah, Papa.
Yes, Papa.
Right. So that is about. Who can tell me some of the Apocrypha books? Have you ever seen or heard of the word Apocrypha? After Apocrypha, you've heard about it. Yes. It constitutes a collection of books. Can you give me some of the books that are in the Apocrypha? Yes. Apocrypha means hidden, something that has been hidden, something that we don't know about. Somewhere that you can't touch, but they are books. They are books.
Now, I have heard about the book of Jasher, but I'm not sure if it is part of the Apocrypha.
All right. So we have the book of Judith, we have the book of Esdras, we have the book of Enoch, we have the book of Moses, the 6 and 7 books of Moses, and all those kind of. We have the book of Enoch, and that thing. Now, what about the Apocrypha is that they began to write books about the history of some of the great prophets of Israel, great men and women who have ever lived among the Jews. They began to write things about them. Whether what they were writing were good or bad, they were writing them. So they began to write about Baruch, they began to write about Judith, they began to write about Adam, they began to write about Abraham and Moses and those. So they destined or they christened some books for them. That this book is the book of Enoch. This book is the book of that. This book is the book of that. So that brought about the false writings that I've mentioned, and then the Apocrypha that I've also mentioned. But the fundamental thing that I want you to know is that during this period, a lot of literature emerged. And it's a mark, it's a plus for them. It's a plus for the Jews. A lot of literature emerged at that particular time. They were writing during that particular period. A lot of literature emerged. Some of the Apocryphal books are included in some Bibles, and they call them what? The Maccabees, the Esdras, the Tobit, Judith, Baruch, Ecclesiasticus, or Wisdom. And then have some of them, they have some as Jesus ben Celiac and Psalm 151. They have been quoted in the New Testament. Some of them have been quoted in the New Testament writings. Now let us turn to Jude, the book of Jude. Jude. Jude is just one book, one chapter. Read verse 9 and verse 14. Jude, verse 9 and 14. Jude, verse 9. Saduf, are you reading? Are you going to read for us?
Enoch, the seventh from, Enoch, the seventh from Adam.
Verse 7 and verse 14.
These men.
7. Yes, go ahead.
See, The Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones to judge everyone and to convict all the ungodly of all the ungodly acts they have done in the ungodly way, and of all the harsh words ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These men are grumblers and fault finders. They follow their own evil desires.
I just want you to read verse 7 and then verse 14.
Okay. Verse 7. In a similar way, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns gave themselves up to sexual immorality and perversion. They serve as an example of those who suffer the punishment of eternal fire.
This is a quotation from the Apocrypha. This is a quotation from the Apocrypha. And then let's read verse 14.
Verse 14. Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied about these men. See, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones.
Right. So you see, he's quoting Enoch. Where did he get that to quote from? He quoted Enoch from the book of Enoch. And that is part of the Apocrypha. If you read anything about Enoch in the Bible, that quotation isn't there. But he's really quoting what Enoch has done. And he found this, Jude found this in the book of what? Enoch. And that is part of the Apocrypha. That's what I'm saying. Some of the writings, they were referring to them, but then for this particular book of Jude, he referred to the book of what? Enoch. That's what I just want to point out. So these books were written during the period of what? Silent years. To fill the gap. The first writings came in, and then the Apocryphas, the books were written to fill the gap of the absence of the prophet to give direction. So I've already remarked that that period was a period that is a plus for the Jews. They never rested. They didn't rest. They didn't rest at all. So that period, now what? They did that to fill the gap. What do you think made them do that? What do you think they wanted to achieve in this? What do you think they wanted to achieve? Who can tell them? Bringing in writings for people to read, to fill in the gap, because there's an absence of prophets, direction from the prophet. What do you think they wanted to do?
But I think they came back to their senses, and they were actually looking for liberation. So they wanted the people to understand that, yes, even though they find themselves in a strange land, in a foreign land, there is still a supreme hand and a supreme being somewhere. And so they wanted to bring them together so that they get to understand that they are not abandoned forever. So that if there's something they can do, they start to do it so that they can get the liberation that they've been waiting for.
When books are written, especially historical books are written, what are the objective for writing books of history?
Just so that the message or the past happenings are not forgotten.
So it was for human development, because they wanted to develop their children who would succeed them. So, it's a span of 400 years. So when the children come, what is there for them to read? They did not want to leave their culture. They wanted to sustain that particular thing, that particular culture. They wanted to keep to their culture. They wanted to keep to their relationship. They wanted their children to know what has ever happened between them and God. Now, if you read the book of Deuteronomy, you realize that in that book, especially in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 to 9, we not go there, but there God instructed that parents should let their children know about him. He gave them instructions to write the books, to write the law, and then on their forehead, at the doorsteps, and even on their shoulders, so that the children, as they see those writings, they'll remember how God has been with them. So they wanted to keep that tradition. They wanted to keep that tradition, in their tradition of their relationship with God, their tradition of God's liberation of the people of Israel from Philistines, from Egypt, and from Babylonia, and that kind of thing. So they wanted to keep that tradition. You know, I've already mentioned that some of the children were born in exile. Some of the children were born under the Gentile rule. So about the Jews. Is that right? So my church was Emmanuel. To me, in one culture. I believe you understand me. Some of them were born in exile. Some of the children were born in exile. I believe those who were about 80, who were about 100 years before the exile would died early. For others were also coming in. Ni worry, na ma worry, worry Gentiles many idea na. It's in Kwadana Aban. A dear na Kodano, for them to hold on. It was through these writings, so it was to fill the gap in the absence of prophets to give directions from God. And the books served as a source of instruction, known as what? Historical narratives, which talked about the struggle of Israel during the period of struggle under Gentile rule. I've already mentioned that. Especially the book of Maccabees. The book of Maccabees, which is also one of the books of the Apocrypha, served that purpose. It talked about the historical narratives, the struggles of Israel under Gentile rule, the struggles of Israel under Babylon, the struggles of Israel under Egypt, the struggles of Israel in their quest to live in for God. Those struggles were mentioned in the narratives. And not a boy who said, "Bombe keep on crowd abreast." The period was also used to develop beliefs concerning the Savior and the Messiah that is to come. The period was also used to what? Talk about beliefs and concerns towards the Savior and the Messiah that is to come. So that period, no. I'm going to use that period. Actually, say, so they talked about the coming of the Messiah greatly during that particular period. They used the period to talk about the coming of the Messiah. Let us take references from the Bible. John chapter 1, verse 19 to 22. John chapter 1, verse 19 to 22. I want somebody who hasn't spoken this morning to read for us. Who hasn't spoken this morning? If you think you haven't spoken this morning, please speak.
John 1:19.
Yeah, George.
Now, yes.
19 to 21. Yeah.
19 to 21. Now, this was John's testimony. When Jewish leaders in Jerusalem sent priests and Levites to ask him who he was, he did not fail to confess, but confessed freely, I am not the Messiah. They asked him, then who are you? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you the prophet? He answered, no.
Right. So who is speaking here, and what is the content of the message being spoken? Obaya, are you with us? Yes, please talk. Anyone, anybody at all? Yes.
This was John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. And what was it? He had been confronted, isn't it?
Yes.
About what? As what? He's been confronted as what?
As the Messiah.
As the Messiah. And he said he's not the Messiah. So in waiting for the Messiah, they talked about these things. So these things are recorded in the book of what? John. Now let's continue with 38 to 45. They say first John chapter 1, 38, 45.
38
to 45.
Okay. It says, turning around, Jesus saw them following and asked, what do you want? They said, Rabbi, which means teacher. Where are you staying? And then jump to 45, right?
Right.
Okay.
Just listen attentively. He said, yeah, okay. Brother, begin again.
Okay. 8. Okay. Turning around, Jesus saw them following and asked, what do you want? They said, Rabbi, which means teacher. Where are you staying? Then 45. Philip found Nathanael and told him, we have found the one Moses wrote about in the law.
Right.
And about
brother, thank you very much for that. Those two verses in the reading is enough. So they go to confirm that they were waiting for the Messiah. Where do you stay? Where are you? Where have you been? We want to know you better. And then somebody also went to confess that we have seen him, the one that has been written about in the book of what? Moses. So it means that the Jews were in expectation of the Messiah. And that's the period. So they wrote all those books there for people to read, and then also taught them that there's somebody that is coming. So they were in expectation of the Messiah. And this is recorded. Another record of this is in John 10:24. Let's read John 10:24. John 10, verse 24.
John 10:24. The Jews who were there gathered around him saying, how long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly.
Right. Boom. By this time, not there. Now, they were under the Roman rule. We said, now, all the reigns, the Persians, Alexander the Great, Ptolemy of Egypt, Seleucids, and then the Maccabean period. So they were under the Roman rule at the time of Christ. And now, I'm say, how many times, how many years, how long should we wait? So if you think you are the Christ, you are the Messiah, tell us. So these things, these writings tell you that, yes, they were really in waiting for the Lord. Matthew chapter 11, verse 2 to 5. Matthew's Gospel chapter 11, verse 2 to 5. Matthew chapter 11, verse 2 to 5.
Matthew chapter 11, verses 2 to 5. When John, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciple to ask him, are you the one who is to come? Or should we expect someone else? Jesus replied, go back and report to John what you you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who are leprosy are clean. The deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is the one who does not stumble on account of me.
Right. So they went to Jesus Christ and asked him, are you the one that is to come? Because we have been in waiting for you. So these writings tell us that they were really in waiting for the Messiah. They were really in waiting for the Messiah. They wanted to see him. They were in waiting for the Messiah. And they also needed signs. So they used the period of that intertestamental period, that period of that span of years, the period of writing, the period of silence, the period that they felt they were in darkness, the period that the Apocrypha and the Septuagint were written, the period that they were under the Gentile rule, being suppressed and oppressed, and whatever word that you could use. That particular period, they used that particular period in expectation of the Messiah, because they knew that the Messiah will come and liberate them. They needed somebody to come and liberate them. So they needed that particular person. So anytime they confronted Jesus Christ, they asked him, are you the one that we are looking for? Are you the one that we want to, are you the one that we have been waiting for? Are you the one? What will be a Yashua Nima? You know, John the Baptist Chronicle 4 crack Kubisano said, when you are Jenkwana or banana, no, so Kona Bonamania, Yamuno, Monkoram Cocanchem. The way you dear dancers say, the way dear in that wait for the Lord. Another thing that they did, there was an emphasis on the Torah. I will say, no, I'm not going to Torah. What is the Torah? The Torah. What is the Torah? Where they are fresh. One chair, no, I'm catching the nail. Say, Max, be want to
the law.
The law. And why the law?
Well, the book of Moses, the first 5 books.
The first 5 books of Moses.
Yeah.
So in that we have the Pentateuch. We have the patriarchs.
Yeah, the patriarchs.
We have the patriarchs. And that is the time when you open Israel for interactive. Good. So the Torah. There was an emphasis on the Torah. Now, Mokas, you can't the Torah now, just as Mr. Dunfe mentioned. What was in the Torah? What was in the Torah? Most of the first 5 books of Moses. But there's something that Bibi Torah and Bibi Torah, the first 5 books of Moses, a dear pan Israel for a day. And I said, then the woman Israel.
Mainly the commandments, God's commandments.
The laws that governed the Jews. Israel for it's found in the Torah. Apart from the commandments, you know, the expansion of the commandments are found in the book of Leviticus. The expansion of the commandments are found in the book of Leviticus. Some are even in the book of Deuteronomy. When I say expansion, it says, Yashem Rama will say, Usara pa didi. That's them, right? Usara pa didi. Then you can say, Usara pa dianka, di kwadu, the way say. And here the expansion. The real, you say, have your breakfast in the morning. Have your breakfast in the morning. Then they will tell you, say, breakfast now be dear. And when you say, any baby breakfast dear, a diania, imu ombre, let's say as breakfast. Of course, Someone like Berima, for instance, he can eat banku and then fufu for his breakfast. I know my friend Nanaya, for instance, he wouldn't take cocoa as his breakfast. He can take anything. Kwashi, for instance, as for Kwashi, gentle as he is, I know he would take cocoa as his breakfast or tea. But me so the events were on a panel me tea minidi. Before 10 o'clock dear, I said me tea. And it's had him because they were the expansion of the laws. The moral laws were there, but these things came in. And so during that period, that intertestamental period, there was an emphasis on the Torah. It dominated that period because the Jews believed that their exile was as a result of their disobedience to God. It identity in nearby exile. We have rebelled against God. So if we have rebelled against God and we are in exile, then we must know the so they had to go and read the Torah very well. We see now, is it the one about a relationship to God, or is about the one about relationship with human beings? The 10 Commandments can be divided into two. Some of the commandments are relational, talks about relationship with God, and some of them talks about relationship with human beings. And that 10 Commandments, no, bit nature, the remember as assignment, the soften and I saw mark Old Testament assignment, not soften and I mark. Say, which of the 10 Commandments talks about relationship with God? Which of them talks about relationship with humankind? So I'll give it to Nanaya to mark for you. That means I want you to go and find it out. So they said they thought their disobedience is a result of what? Their being in exile is a result of their disobedience to God. So there was an emphasis on the Torah. And when there is an emphasis on the Torah, what do you think will happen? They will need people to explain them to them, to explain the Torah to them. What do you think will happen? Yes, wait me. I can be actually. Ben, have you spoken this morning? Ben.
Yes, Papa, I've spoken.
But I want you to talk again.
Yeah, if they are laying emphasis on the Torah, the other aspect of their the writings will be left alone. So there will be a kind of lacking over there. I know there is a term used to describe that, laying emphasis on one particular area, leaving the rest, but I can't remember.
Right. Good. Thank you for that contribution. Who else? I haven't heard a lady speaking this morning. Because I think that there are ladies too. Andy.
Papa.
Yeah. Nana.
Question, man.
Me say, there was an emphasis on the Torah. The emphasis on the Torah, which is the dear na. You may see the panentem. So yes, emphasis no. And never been no just see in the expression what in that particular period now. The Torah a year jumano. We said then a besi a womu. And never na nipa bi with that emphasis. So the emphasis the Torah ne year juma pa say second kind near chisa say the ema ne hu tientia ya ba no mfom. Ya tia say ye ni Yakopon entem anase e boni etie Yakopon. Enti who say Torah no so no e say kofo chechiri mu. And so in the explanation in the minimum, what do you think people will be doing? And then the question maybe sir.
Me pancho I think it's because they are lost, like na nyamia chong say bia yewe menye no enti no ebema omu nyina make sure so mo beye de Nyankopon say omonye ana nyoma e wo lost ni.
Okay. Okay, yes. Andy, we both did, but we both didn't, and Beji was some kind to the Kawasam. So no one didn't quite make a cranny.
Papa, I think it serve as a guideline for to guide the people, to lead them to the
Serve as a guideline, okay. Yes, any other? Let us compare to our time. In this period, in our period, in our dispensation, the Bible is there. Everybody is reading the Bible. As a result of explaining things in the Bible, no, many people be an image. Nipa image be ne obinim, ibi ne obofo, ibi ne Presbyterian Church, ibi ne Duncan Williams, ibi ne Church of Pentecost, that kind of thing. Nipa be sorry. What are they doing? Sacrifice Bobo Dina, Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Asofo, Methodist Church, one church. What are all of them doing? Come here, what are they doing? Who can tell me? Why are churches around?
Papa,
yeah.
To proclaim the word of God.
Word of God.
Isaiah.
So yeah, and to make the same thing and just so that what more teachings, they want to maintain that teachings so that that teachings good. Yeah, okay. It's to induce in
right. It's not the money buy, you know. What that the money about Emma and people be sorry. False prophets, sorry. Maybe shall say your church mu. We're around. So one noteworthy thing is the misuse of the Torah to exploit the people. The misuse of the Torah to exploit the people. And they, if you have Bible, no, I see a king kind of say Asorabano. It be a misuse of Bible, no, to exploit the people. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And that was also being done. And to whom we say, pencil. David, a friend of picture about Aquaba. And ye acquire pencil, and not Sunday Manimano Ede, a chassis, and not a juma. During that particular time, people also wanted to capitalize on those things. Equasword. So people tried to use the Torah to exploit. And then, and I can say, the scribes and the teachers of the law made many additions to the law to build hedges around the law. The scribes and the teachers made additions to the law. Remember, can be busy and those additions of the law, and also the traditions of the elders. The traditions of the elders. That is what that we are in the name of the they call it traditions of the elders. The Bible says, Torah no church place emphasis on the Torah no. Many additions were made. I want to remember break. Let us read Matthew 15 from 2, verse 2. Matthew 15 and from verse 2. We will read up to 20, but we will not take all the readings there. Matthew chapter 15, verse 2, following.
Matthew,
are you getting me, please?
15, verse 2.
Yes.
Why do you disciples break the tradition of the elders?
Yes.
They don't wash their hands before they eat. Jesus replied, and why do you break the command of God for the sake of your tradition? For God said, honor your father and mother. And anyway,
I think that is even enough.
Okay.
That is even enough. Jesus, they said that, why don't they follow the traditions of what? The elders. Because your disciples do not wash their hands. And these things were there. They come at the tradition of the elders now. They are additions to the Torah. The additions to the Torah. And then the friend said the traditions of the elders. Erica says he's backing out. I believe everybody saw it. She hasn't spoken, and I wanted her to speak, and I couldn't hear her. She says she's backing out. Maybe she's at work. So let's take it like that. So what I'm saying is that with the emphasis on the Torah, Obia is sanity, the Amen Sumi Chichi movie. We also no Edinam ha. We the best no so Dinam ha. We saw the Dinam ha. Obia Chichi. Now let us compare. A dear name and Bible man, people are capitalizing on, and they say, ye dear the church, ye church, ye church, and ye come pa. People are emphasizing on certain things. That in those times they could be classified as what traditions of the elders. What are some of the things that people are propagating about these days? That they and never been in the Bible. Yes. If anybody.
One of them is baptism.
Baptism.
Yep.
Baptism. I didn't from microphone could do so. And I'm boys who saw them. I don't want to these things. These things. Yes, any other?
Yep.
Yen Shempabwa.
Yen Shempabwa. And now say, we say, who saw democracy, say, Shempabwa. The church house is a holy place. It has been more story here, almost Shempabwa. If you miss a story, democrats who are say, some kukushi and you made the anopano was Bible say, mushia or dodidi. So there are traditions, some churches that meet in the morning, prepare some food and eat before they go to worship to around 3 o'clock. Every day, someone who is standing many be a more can once. And the worst thing now compared to the Bible now was na diva na kofo eyi. And you mu ye HSA. So that was what was happening. A capitalization on the explanation of what? The Torah. Let us have another example from Mark chapter 7, verse 5 following. Mark chapter 7, verse 5 following. Mark chapter 7, verse 5 following.
So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, why don't your disciple live according to the tradition of the elders instead of eating their food with defiled hands? He replied, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about your hypocrites. As it is written, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human tradition.
Yes. What was said, the excuse was what major you have left the command of God and hold on to the tradition of men. And run as your mama said, Motion Muniso, Muniso, no more much that yes, she be a and a mujaj mu. Say young Riansa, Sanya Didi, Kochia, only gentle for Shia, you say, Moye say, more than more room sans modidi. I don't know for sorry, or made that down now. You quantity in your bad. I say, yeah, say, Homeda, and now more equate Juma. Those things. And Christ confronted them that you are holding to the traditions of the elders, but the commands of God are there. And these traditions of elders, no, the blood, didn't you? Said they are traditions of elders, no, that's the result. The traditions of elders. The traditions of the elders came into the system during the intertestamental period. Time when you say a failure prophecy niho, a failure a software anyho. For the direction from God, from the prophet into dear. Time when we say, you say a young bonia by and so on. like Jonah said, the Abba Bonnie Abba Musoni said, Nimaya get here ready. To me, the cause. So when they realized that the cause of their exile, being in exile, was as a result of the disobedience there, then it means that we have left the laws of God somewhere. We have put it somewhere. And so people capitalize say, they better him. I'm not when you in the ready and say free. The way you eat in the ready and say free. And you can see here, it made people to come in to explain so many explanations. In their bid to explain, many things were what? Were brought in. And those things were called the traditions of what? The elders. The traditions of the elders. The traditions of the elders. Now, as we bringing the curtains down, one other thing that came about during that particular period, was the emergence of sects, SCTS, sects, and political groupings. And who can mention some of the sects and political groupings that you think emerged during that particular period? Who can tell me some of the political sects that, the spiritual sects and then the Jewish sects that emerged, and the political groupings that also came in? Who can tell me? We are bringing our discussion to a close. Ben, can you give
Baba?
Yes, Nana?
I mean, I'm thinking, is it when the Sadducees and the Pharisees?
Are you asking, or you are? Are you asking, or you are telling us?
Okay, I am saying that
Right.
the Pharisees, and the Sadducees, and those
Right.
are the two I remember.
Right.
Now.
Right. So those sects emerged. They were political groupings. They were spiritual groupings. They were what? They were sects, and you can call them anything. Maybe I'm not assignment into. But some of them, we have the essence, the Sadducees, the Herodians. Some of them went with their names. Some believed in the resurrection. Some didn't believe in the resurrection. They were all there. And during that particular period. During that particular period. Now, would you say, what would have caused a dear when you have so many groupings emerging out of a particular situation, which is a dear part of the BC or minimum. Which is a dear part of the BC or minimum.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Divisions.
Chaos on what?
Divisions.
And you yes, somebody's talking.
Lawlessness.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Lawlessness.
And before even get to study the real New Testament, I want you to know the basis of some of the things that went on during Christ's time. So yes, Christ time or no. Nankophobia sex wasting more near a buy. Yes, Christ time will cut the traditions of the elders are more time there buy. This goes to kind of say when the prophets you know what brought about these things. So even before we launch into a deep study of the New Testament, as we say, you know all these, you've got all these things. Oh, see, body we say dinya, yes, how do we say by? The body we say dinya, yes, how do we say by? Now I want to pause for questions. If somebody has a question to ask, I think he can. He's free to ask. We'll do a question, baby sir. Wait, maybe sir.
Papa.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Question that it was on my mind when you were there. It was us back a little bit.
Correct.
And when during that is when that 400 years, the period,
Yeah.
And no, Jesus by within that time, Nana.
Yeah. Like I said, within that 400 years, no. But Jesus by ye bra now under what the Roman rule. John the Baptist time, no.
Yeah, okay.
John the Baptist time, no. So no. The John the Baptist, John the Baptist, so you won't answer the Jesus Christ.
Yes.
You won't John the Baptist answer the Jesus Christ. And during the reign of John the Baptist, they were still waiting for. They even took John the Baptist as the Messiah. They thought only the Messiah. No? They were thinking only will be our baby. Into that period, no, is added to the period of John the Baptist. Added to that intertestamental period. The New Testament now is stories about Jesus Christ, historical narrations about Jesus Christ, his spiritual narrations, and other things about Jesus Christ. But then, Tembiano, what things that led to certain events, and those that led to those events, about Jesus Christ, are what we have discussed. And Jesus Christ came in, but Sabena, a man for who said he's really the Messiah. Even if I say Christ or no more, no. Right. So that's about it. So when we say that period of intertestamental period, that intertestamental period ends with the Romans. When Jesus Christ came in, the Jews were under the Romans. No much Roman. That is why I said or more language, the Greek, where the Greek language came in, the Aramaic came in. Jesus Christ didn't speak Hebrew. He spoke what? Aramaic. Now Aramaic, the corrupted Greek. And I said then you Greek. And I said then you Hebrew. I said because we become crew buffo. That's Aramaic. I said crew buffo. It's that kind of but the yes Christ you no. None in crowd were in that particular period. And one said a crowd war that intertestamental period, but I couldn't Jesus Christ. So he will learn the language that was there at that particular time. So that's about it. Any other question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much.
Okay. But I did a bit of and I think it started from yesterday.
Bema. I'm not even sure
yeah. And yesterday we tested be 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse number 16.
Right.
And like I said, I'm praying in
right.
Now we learned yesterday say when this statement was made, it wasn't referring to the New Testament, but it was referring to the scroll, which happens to be the Old Testament.
Right.
All right. About Zana etia. And then so you share via the Apocrypha no say some books were actually not recorded in the Old Testament, but they were written by the scribes, and they were part of the Tanakh that they were actually using in Hong Kong. How come if all scripture is inspired by the breath of God and by the power of God, yet to me, what yardstick did they use to delete some of these books from the Bible, but some of them were actually brought in the Bible when they were all written under the inspiration of God?
And that is the assignment I'm going to give to you. Now write the assignment. Where am I writing the assignment?
That is a scholar for you. That is a scholar.
The assignment is, what is the canon? Why were the apocryphal books not included in the canon? What is the canon? Why were the apocryphal books not included in the canon? When you have a presentation, your Bible presented. I'll call anybody. And very much, you say you be the first person, I'm afraid. Next week, this year, Sunday start natural week. Now I want you to you can get some of the answers from the discussion we've had, and others you need to research. Come on, cry then. You can't come on, cry. I said the same.
And then can baby son.
And now baby son. Come on, cry. Anything.
About the spelling my name because
Canon is C-A-N-O-N. C-O-N-O-N. Canon.
Okay, let me spelling it right. Okay.
Canon. C-A-N-O-N. And why were the apocryphal books not included in the canon?
Canon will be the.
Mr. Dove?
The canon will be the, if you like.
Go and answer. It's a question.
Okay.
It's an assignment.
Okay.
It's an assignment.
Okay.
So said was here when you say means next week you want to do a presentation. So you want to join Berima in the presentation next week. Eh? We shall choose about it is 4 of you to do the presentation.
But that will be good.
Please. And he said, I'll show my so I'll be 5 pages.
Yes. But for the assignment, for this presentation,
yes. I'm not giving you any limit. So 2 pages don't make natural. Say 3 pages don't make natural. Say 1 page don't make natural. Okay. The answers are not just one sentence answers. So, what is the canon? Not what your canon is this. Why were they not there? Because this next
Baba, apart from the presentation, are we going to be submitting it, or we just make a presentation and keep the scripts to ourselves?
You make the presentation, and I'll give you a further instruction.
Okay.
I'll give you further instruction. Yes. Any other question?
Baba, I want to ask if it would be possible that the written assignment that is due to be submitted at the end of the course, if you can put the questions on our WhatsApp platform for us, because some of us are finding it difficult spelling the words.
Right. I've given it to the coordinator, and I think he will do that.
I think they are already on the platform.
Okay.
Right. So he will give it. So go to the platform, and then you find it there. Yes. Any other question, please?
Papa.
Yes, please.
According to Mark chapter 7,
right.
Verse 8, Jesus by one better commandment, one better end, but I said obeshenima, like obeshenima about one be and free.
Commandment, Nana. I don't know, obey your free moon. When you free, it will catch one say, Martin Yagopon commands night at to chain. No matter I did a general church, the traditions of the elders, and a modi juma. Son of catch a woman. That doesn't mean say the traditions of men were not good at that time, but some of the traditions were good. But in this where they would neglect the commands of God, now would dwell only on the traditions of men. So that was what Christ was referring them to. The commands are there. Yes, a year Juma. This could buy commands no crown say most can we say chirem. Now so as a muyin say. Mention shame as a muyin say. Was during Moses' time, and then what? An expanded form of what? The commandments. You have the commandments that are there. But if you take your time to read Leviticus, Even if example like Leviticus chapter 27, Abraham argue as to what to offer to God. Moses, leading one, he gave them so many forms of what giving. So I said, "He be the boy ready." Shabo mano, ye say mano. And now ye dear, the church embranumu. So there will be a bit near the embransome so. Strong, but during this period, no answer say you bit near the name and so be no. Almost the year day, keka home. And Christ came to meet them, dwelling so much on the traditions. And he says, he want them to say, no. Even though they are there for good living, but Moshe said the laws of God are what? Also followed. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Any other question? Right. So I want to say, thank you very much for your participation. Yes?
Bajo, I'm saying me late kakra na mentimi mu say bia oka say bia books are here na wo friends say
New Testament in
Debbie
Apocrypha no. This is 14,
okay.
14.
Papa, I want to ask one question about that apocrypha. So, as trainees coming to become leaders, is it advisable that we read the apocrypha maybe for knowledge sake as agents of the church?
Want you to continue. I have been a minister for the past 20 years. I know the apocryphal books, but I have not taken time to read them. So me here, for reference, maybe for academic purposes, for other things, I bet me a cocaine kind. It may encourage us to change about your china coin. Who not making kind be ever wow. But why, yeah, will be a how. We have the canon there. The canon is there. And that so that is about it. Yes.
I'm say, sir, one time bina ubi ne was social media na or kase say silence period no. Say ye on church and books no church and say ebi o no match say ubi to me worry me and answer me and sa.
And why were the apocryphal books not added in the canon?
Okay.
Yes.
Because send a question now. Because obey me akai because be on maybe akai before.
That's right. That's right. So that's why. So why were the apocryphal books not included in the canon?
Okay.
Right. Also, and then the more idea pa ye be no na very much the question now. Presentation or the Bible. He brought the question, very much brought the question. And I said, that is the assignment.
That's the assignment.
So next week, we will do the presentation for about 30 minutes. And then we will continue from there. Right. Is that over anything?
Well, just a comment I was going to make. I heard of the 6 and 7 book of Moses, and what I saw was, there was a huge contrast to the first 5 books of Moses. So I just could not, in my mind,
Why were the apocryphal books not included in the canon? What to answer your questions for you?
Maybe it has a big contradiction.
More strategy. And I like that. I like that the strategy you're using. Yeah, I like the strategy you're using. So in one way or the other, you are gradually getting the meaning of canon from the questions you are asking.
Does it has a bigger contradiction?
A bigger contradiction on what?
Between the reason why they didn't add it.
I don't know.
Papa, is just a question.
Go and research. Asame, go and research. You see, it will help our discussion. God willing, next week, it will help our discussion. Question said, you for beside ye, Juma. But when the entire send you a number in my air kind and every editor, so no, a dear near apocryphal books. And as a church, say me, I do say Nabia, this book. You may even not know them. Say a book of Tobit, the book of so and so and so and so. You can just describe it as the apocryphal books. But the cassette canon cry anything. So no, canon anything. And the canon, then the free be canon. Canon no free Septuagint, no Arian ever. And then the friend canon. And the canon a way dear. Na apocryphal books no. Second canon one is in second canon. I didn't have a canon. If you need the name is I don't for wicked some money idea. So no. And this is a discussion. It's with me 2 pages, with me 3 pages. Number of pages will be much will be here. But me 20 pages. Me 10 pages. Me 8 pages. We are really short presentation. But to answer Mr. Question's question first, we are best of through my mail. A presentation. A presentation here. Best of through my mail. And to one, yeah. Where's home bachelor? Why, yeah, we'll go because if you okay, then yeah, because the cabo very much very presentation. So do for better presentation. In your need the two academic open yeah, for me, now discussion. I can we are missing my for home. What do you for home? Major dear, major also work. And everybody will have to submit the work to me. And Mr. Simon said, "Will be nobody wrong. Never boy. Right. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed your participation. I've enjoyed the lesson with you. I believe, sir, the Lord will see us through the other periods that we will meet for this particular discussions on the introduction to the New Testament. And I want to hand over to the coordinator for the wrap-up.
All right. Thank you so much. Denise, you would agree with me that he's been on top of issues, handling issues and listening to every detail of it. Tells me that he has done extensive homework and he's giving you everything that you need. If you go to the seminary, before you hear this, you might have got into the middle of the term in the New Testament study before you hear this. You will not hear it at the first 2 or 3 weeks of it. But thank you so much. I would want to call on one of you officially on behalf of the class, please. So one of you. One of the ladies. Hannah is on the way to work. So Dublin, please thank Papa for us. Let's see your face, please.
We want to thank you for what you have done for us today. We really appreciate the work, and we ask the good Lord to continue to give you the grace so you can impact more into us. Thank you so much for today. We hope to see you next week.
So how long you were around?
Hey, you have a nice face too.
I didn't hear your voice. I see you.
But the one for the name of it be minus 80. Minus 80.
You say 8, you say 30, to just collect. And now I want you to participate. I want to hear your voice. Yeah, we're an interactive kind of facilitation, and yeah, teacher, student kind of thing. make sure man that kind of adult learning. And please feel free to interact. The overview so can be no you can. And nobody says to say that okay and I okay. We are here to what? Correct ourselves. Intimacy one participate here, it will go against you. Meanwhile, Sister Beverly, thank you very much for thanking me. Thank you very much for thanking me. Papa, we are still waiting on you.
Thank you, and God bless you. We do appreciate you so much. So God willing, we'll meet again next week for new. Please try to do your homework. You did very well. It's an opportunity for you, those of you who want to do further studies in theology. A beautiful foundation. Right? God bless you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We are going to have our election. Elect leader of the class. So let's take the nomination, and then we get our class rep. So please, you can nominate anyone you want, please.
I nominate Mr. Donfair.
Mr. Donfair. Anybody second?
Papa. George.
George second. So it's confirmed. Right. Another nomination, please.
Papa, I nominate Emmanuel Berima.
Thank you. Anyone to second, please?
Papa, Mr. Donfair.
No, anyone to second. Mr. Donfair is seconded already, so he's a candidate. So we need another one, then we can take side. So who seconds Emmanuel, please?
Papa, I think the way we are all nominating Mr. Donfair, it's going to be like unopposed. So probably the second nomination might not be necessary.
You are right, my brother. You are right.
He's not right.
No, we need to.
He's not right.
Let's get somebody to second party. Then we take the nomination.
Papa, I think Barima will be the best. I second Donfair.
Papa is not asking us.
You are nominating back.
You are nominating
the nomination. Nominating back. Can you are not ready?
Okay.
What do you say? Oh, why you prepared?
Papa, let me ask. The one that they will maybe elect here, will it be the overall leader for the whole group? Because
now we're going to have one here, then one there, then the two of them will coordinate. That's right.
Okay.
So the other one, we did the nomination, and the line went, so we couldn't conclude. We only nominated. Yeah. So let me sign off from Facebook and YouTube, then we'll come back. So let me go and sign off. All right, people of God, today has been a very fruitful season of looking at the New Testament, and to us, our scholar, Reverend Reuben O. Senso, led us through the various aspects of the New Testament. And we say, Papa, may the Lord bless you very well. And the trainees have been very, very participatory enough. They have contributed immensely to this. And we say, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Now to the Presbytery, North America, Australia Presbytery. We say, God richly bless you. God bless you. The chairperson of the Presbytery, Reverend Joseph, thank you. In the Presbytery session, we really appreciate you for all that the Lord has used you for. Bless us. We want to say those who watched us, those who still have the link to watch, spend the time to study, go through. You are not part of us, but try to learn something from it. There are so many things on social media, and if you spend 1 hour to listen to this message from the man of God, I'm sure it will be a blessing. If you have not given your life to the Lord, give your life to the Lord. See your hand on your chest and say, Lord Jesus, even listen to this message. I receive you as my personal Savior. Leave my sins behind me, and from today, and take control of my life. Be the head of my life, now and forever. Amen. Bless you. My name is Reverend R.K. Temple. I am in Australia and servant coordinating this. Bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Let me go off from